Portions of this show have been pre-recorded.
Yeah. It's a podcast rebroadcast. All of it is pre-recorded.
You big dummy.
Identify for retina scan.
Oh, yeah, here we are, playing a little nostalgic geekiness, having a little bit of fun. This is not BK. BK is out enjoying some family time, some beach time, some vacation. The unofficial start of summer is underway, but I am filling in the commander's chair. I guess it's the captain's chair. I'm sitting here behind the console, driving this starship we call BK on the air. And we like to do things nostalgic and throwback. Well, how much more nostalgic do you get than bringing back Mike Clark? Good morning.
Hey, I guess I'm in the first officer's chair.
You're in the realm of nostalgic geekiness.
No, I know.
Do you feel comfortable?
Oh, yes. And I am so happy to be here.
You know what's crazy? My wife was like, how do you do that? How do you go from like, you can talk the news of the day, what's happening, you know the people, you know the movers, the shakers, you know what's happening, and then all of a sudden it's like you flip a switch, it's like, hey, let's talk about movies and comic books and all the things that we like when we were growing up. I'm like, because I can have multiple interests that that captivate me equally.
You're passionate about two different things.
I have passions, yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
She's like, how about for cleaning the house? I'm like, I have no passion for that.
No. None.
Nothing drives me to say, you know what I should do today? I haven't painted the house in a while. It never enters my mind.
That's funny.
My wife literally will look at me. She goes, did you not see that? I'm like, oh, now that you pointed out, I see it. She goes, how did you not see that? I'm like, I didn't see that.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, why? I said, contrary to some of our folks in the culture today, men and women are actually different. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah.
There are very distinct differences.
Oh, yes. Very much so.
And I don't care how much on a fluid scale you think that exists. I am not going to ever be a woman. I cannot act, think, or do the things that my wife does. I lack that ability. And she, on the other hand, says, I'm so glad I'm not a man because I'm smart. So, yeah, I'm the dummy. Well, good to have you here in studios. Thanks for being here.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, my gosh. So, folks, if you are brand new to the listening audience, first of all, you're going to have to come back next week because my tonal quality could not be any different from BK, the baritone deep.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm BK on the air. And he's got that.
Radio voice.
Yes, he's got that booming bass tone. I don't. I've got the Midwestern, no accent, but what I make up in tone, what I lack in tone, I make up in passion.
Yes.
So let's continue our jump down nostalgic geekiness because that's what we do here. We talk about all things that, we remember the things we had growing up, but how it relates to things today. We talk about the current movies and how it related to the movies maybe we saw growing up and maybe how these series launched one to the other, and all of a sudden you see reboots and you're like, wait a minute, you guys used to make fun of people who like movies like that. Now these are like the mainstream films.
Oh, yeah. Everything's a franchise.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Are you a Christopher Nolan fan? You don't have to like all of his movies, but are you at least a fan of Christopher Nolan?
I did like the Batman films up till like the third one. But other than that, I'm not sure I've seen any of his other movies.
Starting out with Memento.
Didn't see that.
You didn't see Inception?
Nope.
Tenet?
Nope.
Dunkirk?
Yes.
Okay, you saw Dunkirk. What about
I did like Dunkirk.
That was great. What about Interstellar?
No.
You should spend some time getting acquainted with Mr. Nolan. The reason I bring that up is I always hear this argument today. No one makes anything original anymore. And there's a good argument to be made.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I go, have you seen any of the Christopher Nolan movies? Even his Batman was so uniquely original.
Yeah, it was different.
And you're like, oh my God, these are great. And let's face it, Dark Knight is the best of the trilogy.
Yes.
I mean, I love Batman Begins.
I do too.
You need to have that to establish this character. You took it to a completely new level with The Dark Knight. You had social commentary, you had political commentary, you had a great story, you had two archetype villains that you were like, I love both of these people equally. Mm-hmm. I love what the Joker's doing, even though I know he's a sadistic, evil person.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He's captivating. And then you watch Batman, who's trying to fight that, and he's captivating. I'm like, you got these forces at work, and that's exactly what you had in the comic book, and Nolan captured it beautifully.
It was, yes, but then he fumbled.
Yeah, I'd say The Dark Knight Rises. He kind of fell short.
Yeah, a little bit. But again, after Batman and Robin, there was no way to go but up.
Right. That's true. After the original that started with the Tim Burton series, and it kind of got pulled out. What's the guy's name that took over? He was an art director, and he became the director.
And there it goes.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue, but he directed Batman Forever and kind of like got stuck as the director from that point forward. And they each got goofier and goofier as they went along.
Yeah, and BK is yelling at the radio now.
Well,
he's like,
of course.
That's this guy. You know who it is.
Well, we both know who it is because
Yes.
we're smart people, but we also have a lot of information in our heads. And sometimes things run out of our heads, and we just kind of like let things slip off for a little bit.
Yep. Well, new trivia.
Joel Schumacher.
That's right.
Joel Schumacher. See, you talk enough nonsense, and
Uh-huh.
eventually your brain goes, "Oh, you're trying to look up this file."
Bye-bye.
It pops up. So yeah, Joel Schumacher. You could tell he was an art director. All of the movies from Batman Forever on started becoming more and more colorful, more cartoonish. More, that's just how he is. That's where he started. So, no, Batman. Let me ask you this with The Dark Knight Rises. Okay. I know you're like people like why are you talking about a movie that came out like 15 years ago? Because that's what we do here.
That's what we do.
What I have the same sensation every time I try to rewatch it. It feels like as I get to the end, I ask myself, did I fall asleep and miss something? I always feel like, wait a minute, it's like I've missed something. And I was like, okay, no, I didn't pass out in the middle. No, I didn't fall asleep in the middle. No, I didn't walk out in the middle. But it doesn't feel like I somehow can explain why the movie's ending the way it is and how we got here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there.
It just feels weird, like there's something missing.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, we know Batman Bruce Wayne would never just quit.
Right.
I mean, that's uncharacteristic of him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also get what Christopher Nolan, in his mind, he was like, I didn't want to get caught creating a franchise that goes on and on and on. I wanted to tell the story, his rise, his peak, his fall. I kind of get that as an artist. Fine.
I get it. All right.
Fine.
I agree.
But it's like you crammed so many subplots and story threads and notions in the last one that you never really resolved, in my mind, all of them, because it just felt like a lot of mess. It felt like there was a lot of mess. Mm-hmm. There were some great moments, great little set pieces.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I kept feeling like, is there a director's cut that would be released one day that's like 7 hours long? It's like, now it makes sense.
Yep. Now it's good.
Well, some movies, I think, suffer from cut too much. You film a lot and you go, oh, we got to cut it down. The studio says we can't have a 3.5-hour runtime.
Yeah, and that's crazy because if it's a good story, it needs to be that long.
Totally agree. That's why I'm a big fan of the extended editions of all of the Lord of the Rings movies. They were already long in the theater, but they're just masterpieces that you can watch at home in the comfort of your home theater. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, we're already up against the first break. When we come back, we have got a golden rage of television with Pat McCormack. He's going to be telling us, well, actually, where is that golden rage? I had it up here. I believe it's going to be about bosom buddies. Can you believe that now? That we now consider that the golden age of television?
Oh, wow.
Bosom buddies.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks sitcom on television.
Yep,
oh, my goodness. We'll be back with more BK on the Air.
Hold your root beer that way?
Because that's how I hold a frosty mug of A&W.
But that's not a frosty mug.
Sure tastes like one.
A&W root beer's got that frosty mug taste. A&W root beer's got that frosty mug taste. A&W root beer's got that frosty mug taste.
You are the new American society, the movers and the shakers.
Hold on tight to your drink.
You are the new coffee generation.
Because coffee lets you calm yourself down and picks you up. Coffee gives you the serenity to dream it and the vitality to do it. No other drink does that like coffee.
Hold on tight to your drink.
Join the coffee achievers.
Do your best.
When we first moved to New York, we had a great apartment that was dirt cheap.
And we found out why it was so cheap.
Our friend Amy said there was a great apartment in her building.
Dirt cheap, but it's a hotel for women. Okay, we made one adjustment.
Now these other ladies know us as Buffy and Hildegard.
But they also know us as Kip and Henry, Buffy and Hildy's brothers. I am crazy about the blonde.
This experience is going to make a great book.
See, it's all perfectly normal.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. Bosom Buddies, starring Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari, aired from 1980 to 82. They played two young advertising professionals who disguised themselves as women in order to secure an affordable apartment in a women-only building. The show was notable for its unique blend of humor, social commentary, and slapstick comedy. What's interesting is that it was originally pitched as a drama, but was later retooled as a comedy after the producers decided the concept was a bit too risky for a serious show. This decision paid off, and the show became a huge hit with audiences and critics alike. It also helped to launch the careers of both Hanks and Scolari. Bosom Buddies was one of the first television shows to tackle issues of gender identity and sexuality in a lighthearted and accessible way. The show's portrayal of two male characters as sympathetic and relatable figures helped to break down stereotypes and challenge traditional notions of masculinity and femininity. Despite its popularity, Bosom Buddies was canceled after only 2 seasons due to low ratings and increased competition from other shows. However, the show has remained a cult classic and has inspired numerous imitations and parodies over the years, cementing its place in television history. This is Pat McCormack with your Retro TV trivia from the Golden Rage of TV. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel at Golden Rage of TV and my Retro TV Radio podcast available on most popular platforms. And now back to BK on the air.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when we're part of a team. Everything is awesome.
See? Everything's awesome.
Yep.
I fixed it. Hardly noticed a problem at all.
No, it was so smooth.
It was like a minor blip. It was like that little hair on the record. You just heard a little, and that was it, right? Oh, my gosh. Okay, so, we were... folks who are listening to this as a podcast, assuming BK puts it out as a... He may look at this and go, I have a certain reputation, and I cannot ruin it any further by letting this come on as trash, but assuming he does... You and I were talking a little about Disney and about some of the decisions that seem to be filtering down from on high, and we don't like any studio messing with the creative types, especially when it's the bean counters, and then if you add cultural bean counters, you're like, okay, guys, stop it. Stop messing.
Exactly.
I don't know if you heard this. Tim Burton has said he's done making movies for Disney.
Oh, good.
He's like, I'm done. He said the company is a, quote, horrible big circus.
Yes. I agree with that.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Burton said while filming Dumbo, he said, I realized that I actually was the Dumbo taking on work in this horrible big circus, and I needed to escape.
Wow.
That's a pretty strong indictment of a mega industrial studio.
Well, it is. And it's also another one of those, why are you doing live-action remakes of all your classic animated films?
Because you can.
Well, but so far, it's like, what? Any of them been Maleficent? But that wasn't a remake.
Right. I liked The Lion King. I thought that was cool because it was all computer animated.
Right.
It was just live action animated to look like, but they didn't have people. It was still the animals. It was still the story. I thought it was cool. I thought The Jungle Book was pretty cool. Because that was all digital. Everything about The Jungle Book. They actually, when you watch, you're like, how in the world did they pull this off? The leaves look real. The trees look real. Everything looks real. And it was all shot in a studio.
Well, that's
Jon
how far
Favreau.
That's how far we've come. Mm-hmm. The only one I saw in the theater, because it's one of my favorites, is Beauty and the Beast. And by the end of it, I was like, Do
you realize I haven't watched that one?
Oh, see, all the ones you're naming, I haven't watched.
What's crazy is of the animated classics, starting with, I think, like the studio for me, you had your old, like your the Snow White, you had your Prince Charming, you had all the classics.
Right.
But for me, like the new classics, and maybe only because I started paying attention with my kids being little, started with The Little Mermaid.
Yes, I agree. Me too.
And then it was like hit after hit after. It was like Little Mermaid. Then it was Beauty and the Beast. And then it was Aladdin. And then it was Lion King. And I'm just like, these guys, even Tarzan and Hunchback of Notre Dame and Mulan. I'm like, these guys can't miss. Like these guys are just
awesome. The Disney Renaissance.
Yeah. And of all of them, which is ironic talking about Beauty and the Beast, I thought of all of them, Beauty and the Beast was probably the strongest overall story. I liked it the best. I liked the whole idea of a strong independent female who was willing to go and see beyond, to go beyond the surface.
Yep.
I wish more people today would realize you can go beyond the surface and there's a lot more there.
Yes.
Get the point of what Beauty and the Beast is all about.
Of course, now it's all Stockholm Syndrome.
I would argue Munchausen by proxy as well, but that's a whole different story. We'll go in a different direction another day.
Right, exactly.
For me, which is why I'm like, why didn't I watch the live action yet? And I probably will. But I haven't watched it. I can tell you I've been very happy with some of the Disney animated movies that I've watched. It was so funny because my wife actually looked at me sideways because my daughter said, "Hey, have you guys seen Encanto?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that's awesome." And my wife was like, "You watched Encanto?" I'm like, "Yeah, when it debuted on Disney Plus." I said, "The animation's great, the music's great." She goes, "That movie just came out last year." I said, "Uh-huh." She goes, "Our girls all moved out." I'm like, "Uh-huh." So you watched Encanto, a cartoon, by yourself? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She's like,
what's
okay.
wrong with that?
Yes. But no, I loved Encanto. I thought that was great. I loved
Was it Coco?
No, Coco. That's Pixar.
Well,
Which is still owned
Disney,
by Disney.
yeah.
To me, I make a very big distinction between Disney animation and Pixar. Because Pixar, I think, blows away storylines for most of the Disney stuff. I think Pixar is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've liked every Pixar film that's ever come out.
What was it? Soul? I thought was good.
So good.
That was great.
And that came out during the pandemic, so it was straight to video. I even liked Onward. Did you see that about the kid? The basically you're set in a D&D world. There's these two little characters. Their dad had died, and the kid never really knew who his dad was, and they were able to bring a spell to bring at least his pants back to life.
Oh, no, I never saw that. I never heard of that.
That came out during the pandemic, too, straight to Disney+. Plus. It was so good. It's it's Spider-Man and Star-Lord as the two character actors.
Okay.
So you've got Tom Holland and Chris Pratt as the two brothers.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I get it. Pandemic, not a big studio release. They probably pulled back on a lot of the production. The first half, maybe I was like, oh, it's cute. Mm-hmm. Stupid Pixar gets me every time. I'm like, by the end, I'm like, this is a great movie.
Of course.
Of course, my wife makes fun of me. She goes, you have the waterworks on everything. I'm like, not everything. Just Pixar knows how to pull the strings.
Oh, yeah. They push all the right buttons.
They hit all of the right notes all the time. It's almost as if they're focused on telling a good story.
Exactly.
All right. Let's get back to our story with Tim Burton. According to this, speaking at the Lumiere Festival in Lyon, after receiving the Prix Lumiere award, I guess, Burton revealed that the 2019 film likely marked the end of his long-running creative relationship with Disney. He began his film career as an animator at Disney, if you didn't know this, before Warner Brothers hired him to make his live-action directorial debut with Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He returned to work with Disney with films like Ed Wood, Nightmare Before Christmas, Alice in Wonderland, Frankenweenie, and the most recent, Dumbo. Burton believes that the entertainment landscape has shifted to the point where it no longer makes sense for him to collaborate with the entertainment giant. He explained that his experience working on Dumbo made him realize that Disney had gotten too big for him, which probably means too controlling.
Exactly. That's what it means.
I think that happens. Doesn't that mean really like in everything? Isn't that the case? If things get just too big, you start feeling like they get to call all the shots?
Exactly. I agree, and I'm surprised Disney hasn't been broken up as a monopoly.
Well, they brought Bob Iger back because the other Bob was like tanking it in the last 5 years.
Well, Bob Iger isn't doing that good a job either.
Well, he's trying to pull it out. He's only been brought back since November of last year.
Right,
so he's only been there 6 months. You had a lot of things that the other Bob, what's his name, Bob Manchik, Bob Capik, whatever his last name was.
You're
had
close.
That. Yeah, he had years to just completely shift direction, and all. The Disney Corporation realizes that right now, if they want to stay solvent, they have to cut $5.5 billion of cost. They're getting ready to lay off a bunch of people. They're pulling back on a lot of projects because the previous CEO basically wasn't being very fiduciarily responsible.
Yes, and they're pulling things off Disney Plus that aren't making any money. They're just wasting money because nobody's watching them. But that's now caused a big outcry.
Well, now you've got people saying, well, the only reason why you're not watching is because you don't agree with the agenda. Oh, wait. You mean I get to pick what things I like and get to choose what I like? You're trying to tell me that it's my fault for choosing I don't want to watch your show?
Yeah. Well, maybe your show is trash.
Maybe I'm hateful. Maybe I'm full of evil and rottenness, and I should just have some time with myself to realize what a beautiful show that was. The She-Hulk is the most awarded show on television.
Or Willow. Wow, what a great show. I love the movie. That was awful.
Can we talk about Willow when we come back?
Sure.
I battled through... And I don't think I even finished the first season. I think I just said, okay, I just can't. The best actor in that was Willow.
Oh, yeah. Warwick Davis. But the rest of it, We'll
be back. We've got G&N coming up. More of BK on the air. Stick around.
We'll return after these messages.
A is for apple, J is for Jack's, cinnamon toasty apple jack. You need a good breakfast, that's a fact. Starting off with Apple Jacks. Apple Jacks, Apple Jacks. It's a real apple, that's what it packs. Apple tasty, crunchy too. Kellogg's Apple Jacks. Apple Jacks, Apple Jacks.
Apple Jack cereal from Kellogg's. Part of your good breakfast.
Apple Jacks, national plan.
What's this stuff? Sunscreen. It blocks the sun's harmful rays. Want some? Nope. I'm gonna stay out all day and get a great tan. Look at your back. It's as red as a lobster. I don't feel so good.
Hey, Stella, your friend's been out in the sun without protection.
Leatherneck.
Next time, use the sunscreen. Wear a hat and a shirt and look for some shade when it's really sunny. A bad sunburn could make you sick and even put you in the hospital.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Welcome back, everyone. This is a little adventure time here we call BK on the Air. I'm Alan Sanders, joined with Mike Clark. BK is on a little bit of vacation, so format-wise, I know what we're supposed to be doing here, but I was a bad boy. Mike, I was bad.
What? How?
Well, I had a link that BK sent me for all of these things that he likes to do in a segment where you kind of... You know, the audience of the news, of the weird, the strange, the bizarre. And I only printed out one news. So this could be a real short segment.
Okay. Well, at least you got one.
And it's the only one that at least jumped out at me. And I was supposed to look at the other ones. And I could probably find some goofy ones, but I think you and I could probably kill some time on this one. So let's say I have got the first and only news. I'll just play that a bunch of times. We'll fill that void that we call me not doing show prep. The headline, Senior Prank lists Maryland High School for sale on Zillow. Dude, it's awesome. They've got a screen grab of the Zillow showing of this particular prank. I will read you the story from UPI. Maryland High School was listed on Zillow for a mere $42,069 in what school officials described as a senior prank. The listing, which briefly appeared on Zillow before being removed hours later, described the 12,458 square foot Meade High School as a half-working jail.
It's awesome.
Quote, all 15 bathrooms come with sewage issues, the listing states. There's a nice spacious kitchen and dining room with a private basketball court. The listing said the property comes with complimentary trash-scented air fresheners and water issues. Bob Mosier, a spokesperson for Anne Arundel County Public Schools, called the listing incredibly creative advertising. But we are frankly stunned the listing so vastly underestimated the value of a prime piece of real estate like this, especially one with such amazing amenities, Mosier told the Baltimore Banner. I can't imagine that there isn't going to be a rush of bidders to snap this one up.
At least he was good about it.
Mosier said school officials believed the listing was a prank by seniors. He said administrators are taking it in good humor, saying, quote, no one was hurt, no property was damaged. And as he said, it was pretty creative.
Yeah, it was.
That is a really, really good senior prank. I got to be honest with you. That is a cool one. You list your high school and you list it as a semi-working or a half-working jail.
And then all these problems.
How about this story? I've got one. Look, I have found another news. It just showed up. Pizzeria offers to delay payments until after customers die. I just read the headline. I went, I'm interested in this story.
Yes, you've got me. Tell me more.
From New Zealand, a New Zealand-based pizza chain is offering an unusual proposition to customers. Buy now, pay when you die.
Okay.
Let's continue.
Yeah, how does this work?
Now, we know the FCC has some regulations. This is technically not in violation of the FCC because this is the name of the business. Hell Pizza announced the Afterlife Party promotion is inspired by the buy now, pay later schemes adopted by several New Zealand businesses. It says, quote, we're seeing a growing number of people using the schemes to buy essential items like food, and we think it's taking it a step too far when you've got quick service restaurants like ours being asked to offer buy now, pay later for what is considered a treat. You know, you're buying a pizza. Yes. You should buy now and pay now.
Yeah, exactly, because it is a treat, but it's also a meal.
Right, and it's not like you can. You should pay your bills first of all.
Well, yeah, exactly.
According to this, the pizzeria said, "This is great." Hell Pizzeria, remember. The pizzeria said 666 customers in New Zealand and 666 customers in Australia will be chosen for the Afterlife Pay program, which will delay payments for pizza until the customer has shuffled off their mortal coil.
Wow.
It says, quote, those chosen will be invited to sign a real amendment to their wills, allowing the cost of their pizza to be collected upon their death. No interest or fees apply, and the agreement is legally binding. Interested customers can apply for the program on Hell's Pizza website. What brilliant marketing. Because here we are, Northwest Georgia, putting a spotlight on a pizzeria in New Zealand.
New Zealand. That's awesome. And it's very creative.
That is pretty darn cool.
And, of course, I like the 666 people are
from each country. Yeah,
you know, it's funny. With that, I got some stuff at Publix. It just water and like a soda, and it came out to $6.66, and I was like, I maybe should buy something else.
I don't mind when it does. I actually think it's cool when it comes up with tax exactly even. Like they'll be like, that's $84, and they'll be all, and every single time the cashier, because usually they're younger, they go, wow, it's $84 and no pennies.
Yeah, nice.
Like that happens from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I've got another news. I found one.
Another one.
See, you gave me time. You started talking about bottled water and some food at Publix, and here we are. A Kentucky man ran out of gas, and so he won $1 million. Wait, what?
Okay, good for him.
UPI. A Kentucky man said he won a
$1 million
lottery jackpot thanks to what initially seemed like an unlucky event. He ran out of gas. Michael Schlemmer of Corbin, Kentucky, told the Kentucky Lottery that he barely made it to the convenient food mart in Corbin. He said, I ran out of gas and was able to literally coast into the station.
Oh, wow.
He said, I had $40 on me, so I bought $20 worth of gas and decided, well, while I'm here, I'm just going to buy a lottery ticket.
Of course, yeah.
He bought a $20 $1 million luck scratch-off ticket. They'll pay $20, win $1 million.
Yeah.
It's a good return on your investment.
Yes, it is.
He said, I scratched it off, and I looked at it, and then I went back into the store. I don't know if this says what I think it says. He goes, I showed the girls that sold it to me, and they had a fit. The owners of the store were there, and they both started grinning. The ticket was, in fact, a $1 million top prize winner.
Awesome. Well, maybe he was feeling lucky since he was able to coast into the station.
Yeah, coast right into the gas. Schlemmer said he will use some of his winnings to buy a new vehicle, and the rest will go and buy a new vehicle. I'm going to get some more fuel efficient. Mm-hmm. And the rest goes into savings. He said, quote, I told the dealership I'm waiting for a big check to come in, and when and then I hit that, he said. Huh? Yep. He got his big check.
Yes, he did.
I'll buy a car when my ship rolls in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
Well, that's amazing, though.
That's a cool story.
Yes, it is.
Those were some good news jogs. Good news flashes.
Yes. I like it, especially that pizza one.
The pizza one.
And the senior prank. That was really good, too.
That caught my ie. I printed that one out. I had it on the screen. I meant to do the other ones that I was looking through, and thankfully I was able to kind of pull some up very quickly here. Mm-hmm. So we're still keeping the BK ship afloat. Now, I'm saying we're bailing as fast as it's coming in, but we're still floating.
Yep. I mean, it wouldn't be his show without something going wrong.
Yeah. Hey, Chiefy, the pump's in the locker there. Will you pump it out?
Yep.
But hey, on that note, before we go to the break, because it's coming up, do you follow the Jaws log on social media on Facebook?
No.
There's a social media group called the Jaws log, the Daily Jaws. Those guys are awesome.
I actually follow their YouTube channel.
Oh, really?
They have a YouTube channel, and yes, some of the stuff they come up with or do. There was this one with it was Jaws, but it was if it was. Oh man!
Oh man!
Okay,
Swiper.
Growing old is awful because it was great, but it was really funny.
Must have left a lasting impression.
No, when I was younger, I killed a lot of brain cells, and now I'm really old.
Well, you can't be really old. You're only a few more years older than me, and I know I'm not really old.
My mother yesterday reminded me that I am 5 years away from 62.
5 years away from 62.
Yep.
I'm here at Paul Masson Chateau in California. Almost every night here there's a wine tasting party, and one of the favorites is Paul Masson Chablis. It's light and crisp. It's delicious. The wine you drink the most should be the best. And they take special care with it here because they know Chablis is America's most popular wine. Paul Masson Chablis. I recommend it. Paul Masson will sell no wine before it's time.
Wake up, Keith. We've got to leave in 15 minutes.
Oh, we've got Shirley fixing breakfast. Wake up, Keith.
Wake up, Keith.
Keith is turning over. Wants to sleep. Wants to sleep.
This always works.
Kellogg's Rice Krispies. Hear the roar. Let us go.
I think I'm waking up.
We got Sleepy Keith Partridge. Wake it up. Wake it up. Snap, crackle, pop. Wake it up.
Wake up like me. Wake up with Kellogg's Rice Krispies.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Welcome back, everyone, to BK on the Air. Alan Sanders filling in for the vacationing BK. Mike Clark in here joining me. A little realm of nostalgic geekiness. I remember when this song, Abracadabra, was the big hit while I was in elementary school.
I remember when it was a hit, and I also remember MTV played the video all the time.
Well, they only had a handful when they first launched.
Well, exactly. But
you were there for the great launch of the M Television Network.
Yep. I remember when it wasn't in every household. It was certain ones. And you would go to your friend's house that had it just to watch it.
Yes, I was so jealous. My buddy, his dad embraced cable. My dad said it was a fad and he wasn't about to pay for something he can get for free.
Yep. Mm-hmm. My dad was the same way.
Like, you can get MTV for free. He goes, no. Like, well, then obviously there must be a difference.
Yep. Back when it played music.
Yes.
I don't even know. Does it play music anytime? Wait, they did another channel. It's like MTV Classic. I know. We're classic.
I don't like... Okay, so this is sad. I just had this pop in my head because you used the word classic, and I know classic rock is now what I considered my rock growing up. So don't call it classic. Classic was like stuff from the 60s and the 70s.
Exactly.
Now suddenly the 80s and early 90s is being rolled into classic rock radio.
Yep.
I just realized my kids, they're out. My two oldest are out of college. My youngest is still in college, and my two oldest have been out for a while. They got back into playing World of Warcraft. And I'm like, Dad, remember we used to play World of Warcraft all the time? We want you to get back into it. Please get into it. We're doing the classic Wrath of Lich King server. Like, I remember when that was the third expansion pack. It was, and it still is the best of all of them. I was like, God, I played World of Warcraft forever. I really did. I played that forever. And now my kids are like, let's play classic. For them, it's throwback. For me, it's like, it truly is throwback.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it's like I said.
I feel comfortable here.
Yeah, I said earlier, it's like, you know you're getting old when TV Land starts playing things like Cheers and Hey Bosom Buddies. And and these shows that you're like, wait, no, classic shows are like the Secret Loves of Dobie Gillis. It's, that's not classic. I grew up with that.
Right.
And then I realized I grew up, and time marches on.
Time continues to roll. It does. It does continue no matter what we do. We cannot stop it. In fact, what's hard is when some of our icons and some of the voices and some of the actors from our childhood who were older than us when we discovered them and followed them and liked them, well, sometimes they shuffle off that mortal coil while we're still here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've had these conversations many times over the years when certain actors or certain musicians seem to have a more impact when they pass than others.
Right, yes.
Like, I'm not of the delusion that when a singer or actor dies that somehow my life is over.
Well, yeah, no, exactly.
And I don't have any delusion that they even know who I am.
Exactly.
But there are certain people, like for me, when Neil Peart, the drummer of Rush, died, I'm like, there will never be another Rush album. There will never be another Rush concert. I will never again. He's gone.
Yep.
And that was like my second all-time favorite band, without a doubt.
It's my favorite. I love Rush.
And when I say second, it's like there's a hair that separates Pink Floyd and Rush for me.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Which is kind of ironic. I think Pink Floyd is probably the better band in terms of their scope of music, but I listen to Rush more. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm like, I don't know who's my favorite. Because like lyrically, I'd be like, wow, Pink Floyd did a lot of really cool stuff. But I'm like, lyrically and musically, three guys did a lot of great music.
Yes, they did.
So when he died, I was like, oh.
Mm-hmm. I agree. For me, one of the biggest ones was when Leonard Nimoy died. Because, I grew up with Star Trek, and the reason they impact us is because they feel like they're part of our family. Mm-hmm. We follow them. And like you just played, Tina Turner was a big, had a huge impact on my childhood and growing up and music.
I only knew a little bit of her old stuff when it was her and Ike, and I only realized what a horrible start to life and the abuse and the you just like, oh my God, how do you recover from what he put her through? And then I only knew her of the 80s icon, like this rock and roll with the soulful voice, and that even my wife said this. Like, so this is not sexist. My wife was like, and her legs. Like that's like she was insured. Her legs were insured because that was iconic Tina Turner.
Mm-hmm. And to watch her move and stuff, and like wearing high heels. Have you ever seen the what is it? Big Will Keep on Turning, Proud Mary.
Proud Mary.
The video for that. It's
like, how
amazing.
Can you function?
Yeah, exactly. How are you doing all this stuff?
If you guys missed it, and the reason we're talking this, Tina Turner passed away this week at the age of 83, so she lived a pretty good life.
Yes, she did. Mm-hmm.
It never feels long enough when you get there.
Exactly.
So let me get this story to you. I'm going to go to The Guardian. I want to see what the UK thinks about an American rock icon.
Okay.
Because I always like getting a different perspective. And she is, and there's no arguing, she is a rock icon.
Oh, yes, very much so.
Yeah, she did other forms of music, but she was into rock, and her rock beats, rock rhythm, pop rock. She was, man, I love Tina Turner.
And she was in Mad Max
3.
Yep, Beyond Thunderdome.
Yes, she was, wearing a chainmail bodice.
Which weighed a lot, according to her.
She said it hurt after a while. Tina Turner, who initially found fame in a turbulent musical partnership, became one of the biggest acts in the world as a solo artist and one of the most defining pop icons of the 80s.
Yep.
That's how the story starts from The Guardian. Tina Turner, the pioneering and they recognize rock and roll star who became a pop behemoth in the 80s, died at the age of 83 after a long illness. She had suffered from ill health in recent years, being diagnosed with intestinal cancer in 2016 and then having a kidney transplant in 2017. Tina affirmed and amplified black women's formative stake in rock and roll, defining that era of music to the extent that Mick Jagger admitted to taking inspiration from her high-kicking, energetic live performances for his own stage persona. And she was, like you just mentioned, if you've never seen live video of her performing, you want to talk about giving your all every concert.
Oh, yeah.
Before the Madonnas, before the synchronized dance routines, which, by the way, every bit as talented. Someone had to come up with it. Tina Turner was at the forefront of the energetic stage show while singing.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I said, watch the video for Proud Mary. It is amazing.
What a great song. Starts off so slow and soulful. You think, how is this a rock song? Yeah, let it play to the end.
Mm-hmm.
According to this, after 2 decades of working with her abusive husband, Ike Turner, she struck out alone and after a few false starts became one of the defining pop icons of the 80s with the album Private Dancer.
Yep.
What a great album.
Oh, yeah.
Her life was chronicled in 3 memoirs, a biopic, a jukebox musical, and in 2021, the acclaimed documentary film Tina, which I have not seen yet.
I have not seen it yet either, but I am going to.
After her passing, it's definitely gone up on my to-watch list.
Mm-hmm.
In a statement this past Wednesday night, her publicist Bernard Doherty said, quote, Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll, and I will not say that is a wrong... She earns that title.
Yes,
she is
does.
the queen of rock and roll. Died peacefully today. What about Janis Joplin? Oh, shut up, Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
You lived 5 years and you had 2 good songs and screamed a lot, okay?
Yeah.
I get you were a pioneer. Tina Turner, much more influential.
Yes.
She's the rock and roll queen. Died peacefully today at the age of 83 after a long illness in her home in Kunsacht near Zurich, Switzerland. With her, the world loses a music legend and a role model. That was the statement.
Mm-hmm.
I both love and kind of like they came after her for a lot of money. Like, hey, Tina, you're really successful.
Yep.
You're not getting taxed enough. We ought to just... And she's like, I'm moving to Switzerland.
Yeah. I didn't realize she lived in Switzerland.
She renounced her U.S. citizenship because they wanted to come after her for money. And she's like, you know what? You get to that point where when you don't have a lot and you've worked really hard, you kind of want to keep it.
Exactly. You do want to keep it.
It's not somebody else's. It's mine. I want to choose what I do with it. So anyway, she did renounce her U.S. citizenship solely to, keep her own money. Mm-hmm. But in 2018, according to this, scholar Daphne A. Brooks wrote for The Guardian, quote, Turner's musical character has always been a charged combination of mystery as well as light, melancholy mixed with a ferocious vitality that often flirted with danger.
That's
a nice phrase.
That is nice. Yeah, that's great. That is a perfect way to describe her.
Good writing.
Mm-hmm.
Turner was born, I didn't know this, Anna Mae Bullock. Like Sandra Bullock. I guess it's Bullock.
Yep.
But Bullock. Anna Mae.
Anna Mae.
According to this, it said she was born on the 26th of November, 1939. Raised in Nutbush, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds like a Tennessee town. Before there became this style of artwork that we're kind of playing with. It's literally Anna, M-A-E. Spelled even M-A-E. Anna Mae. And it wasn't just Anna. Got like more syllables than you actually see in the word.
Mm-hmm.
According to this, she recalled picking cotton with her family as a child. She sang in the tiny town's church choir, and as a teenager talked, or rather sang, her way into Ike's band in St. Louis. He had declined her request to join until he heard her seize the microphone during a Kings of Rhythm performance for a rendition of B.B. King's You Know I Love You. After her vocal talents became apparent, Ike gave her the name Tina Turner and trademarked it in case she left him and he wanted to replace her in his act.
Wow.
That should have been a sign, right? That's what we call a red flag.
Yes.
He quickly became abusive when Turner tried to leave the group early on after having gotten a sense of her mercurial character. He hit her with a wooden shoe stretcher. We're going to continue the story because I do want to go into a little bit more Tina Turner after the top of the hour. Unfortunately, we are at the top of the hour.
Yes.
We leave hour 1 done and in the books.
Amazing how fast they go by.
Folks, don't go anywhere. We'll give you a little bit more of Tina Turner. We'll talk about some of maybe our favorite songs, recollections, and we'll continue on. There's more to go. We've got a whole hour, so don't go anywhere. You are tuned into your realm of nostalgic geekiness known as BK on the Air. I'm Alan Sanders filling in.
It's Movie Trailer Theater. It's Movie Trailer Theater.
Lights, camera, action!
Mel Gibson is Mad Max. These are the children who worship him.
Who do you think I am?
He is their only hope in a world where she is the only power.
Bring him back to me! Alive!
Mel Gibson, Tina Turner, in the greatest Mad Max adventure of all. Mad Max, Beyond Thunderdome, rated PG-13.
Starts Wednesday, July 10th at a theater near you.
This temple crew has a plan. And they begin by digging into those in every Kellogg's pack. Keep them coming back for 2 scoops of plump, juicy raisins in Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Hooked up and in command. They're working now, but they're thinking how they love and golden flakes of bland. They're turning back again for 2 scoops of plump, juicy raisins in Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
Well, ain't we a pair? Raggedy Man. Goodbye, soldier.
Yeah, that's how I feel when BK sends me a message. Hey, can you do the show for me? Yes,
sure.
Not a problem, sir. I mean, would love to.
It would be my pleasure.
Alan Sanders here, filling in for the vacationing BK. We've got Mike Clark in here. Mm-hmm. He's taking my part because I'm taking BK's part. See, this is called field promotion.
Yes.
The general's gone. Now I'm the general, and you're the second in command.
Yes.
And then next week we all get reverted back to our original ranks.
Exactly. I'll be a commander again.
Oh, all right. Well, let's do this. He is. Thankfully, I didn't have to prep this. BK is so diligent because he has a little bit of control issue. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, yeah, just a little bit.
Just not really worth mentioning.
No.
He came up with on this day. And I actually, no, seriously, I appreciate it because I don't have the same resources that he goes to for all this. I would have spent a lot of time trying to find on this day, and he actually did it for me. So it is May the 27th, and so let us look at on this day things that go along with the BK kind of show. 1930, Richard Drew invents masking tape. Back in 1930.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea it was that old.
Me neither.
How ironic is this? How many times have we mentioned between the end of my show prior to BK and the start of BK, Dunkirk? How many times have we mentioned it?
Quite a few.
1940, on this day, British and Allied forces begin the evacuation of Dunkirk, World War II.
Wow.
Talk about serendipity.
Yeah,
I had no clue until just this second that we happened to bring up Chris Nolan's movie Dunkirk, which is brilliant, by the way, if you've not seen it.
It's very good.
Today was the day that they began the evacuation of the troops that were trapped on the beaches of Dunkirk.
Wow. Amazing.
Today, 1961, the first blacklight is sold, followed by many of the Groove posters.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing those in Spencer's when I was a kid.
I remember I didn't get my first blacklight until like the early 90s. I also got my first lava lamp in the early 90s when they were doing some throwbacks.
Oh, yeah.
I never had one when I was a kid.
No, me neither.
1969.
Okay.
Year before I was born, Walt Disney World begins construction at Bay Lake and Lake Buena Vista, Florida. Began construction.
69. I was 3 years old.
I was not yet born. 1995. Actor Christopher Reeve is paralyzed from the neck down after falling from his horse in a riding competition in Culpeper, Virginia.
Talk about a sad story. When I heard that, I was like, oh, no.
I will tell you, and he was not expected to live, and he battled, and
yes.
I mean, talk about Superman in real life. He managed to pull that off for a good number of years before succumbing.
Yep.
2022. That's a pretty new year. That's just last year.
Last year.
On this day, May the 27th, Top Gun Maverick, the sequel starring Tom Cruise, Miles Teller, and Jennifer Connelly, is released 36 years after the original.
Wow, and went on to be a tremendous hit.
Did you see it?
I did not.
Fantastic.
Not yet.
Fantastic. I was like... Because I don't like Top Gun anymore. Top Gun was a movie left in my childhood. I should have just left it there. I went and rewatched it. I'm like, okay, I get why it was big when it came out. I don't know why it's big now.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
So and maybe that helped. I like having zero expectations. So I'm like, okay, we'll go see Top Gun Maverick. Even the first opening 5 minutes, I'm like on the edge of my seat going, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm holding my breath.
Wow.
Ridiculously good.
Okay.
Just a ridiculously good movie, fun movie. Talk about no woke messaging. Check out Tom Cruise,
cool.
Top Gun Maverick. None. Zero wokeness at all.
Well, yeah, and that's why you saw these videos, if you do YouTube, on why the woke people hated it.
Yeah, it made over $700 million.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. I think it was the biggest movie and saved Paramount. There was close to starting to look at bankruptcy.
Man, I did not know that.
Tom Cruise.
Was it the highest?
I think it's the highest grossing movie in the history of Paramount.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Tom Cruise can right now say, Paramount, write me a check.
Exactly.
I want to do another movie. We don't care what it's about, Tom, as long as you're doing it for us.
Exactly.
Birthdays. Ooh, how about a voice act that is so hard to anyone to ever imitate? We talked about this with BK on the air. Vincent Price.
Oh, yeah.
American actor, House on Haunted Hill, The Fly, born in St. Louis, Missouri, died 1993. What a great voice. And what a great sense of humor. I didn't realize all the behind the scenes, just what a... I shouldn't say this, but wicked sense of humor.
It was. Very much so.
Christopher Lee, English actor, played Dracula, obviously Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, some of the franchises, was born in London, died on this day. Was born on this day, died in 2015. So he's only recently departed us.
Yep.
Man, he's such a good actor. And just amazing.
He was in everything. All those Hammer films, and him and Peter Cushing were a great team. But I was very sad when he passed, though. Was one of the last things he did his rock and roll album?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Because I remember that. I was like, oh, Mr. Lee, you could do anything.
You know what's funny? It's not. This isn't funny. Everybody knows I think Lord of the Rings is one of the greatest movies because it's 3 parts of one movie. I had forgotten Christopher Lee at one point in time was with the, he was like the Secret Service of the British during World War II.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a James Bond before there was a James Bond.
See, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So this is the funny thing. It's a
Makes
great
him cooler.
story. It's a great story Peter Jackson tells because there's a scene in Lord of the Rings where he is stabbed from behind with a knife, with a character he plays, Saruman. Mm-hmm. And so Peter Jackson's like, okay, you're not expecting this. And so the guy comes up behind you, and he plunges the knife, and I want to hear and he goes, not to question you.
Yep.
But speaking from experience, that's not what men do when you stab them. And Peter Jackson was like, wait a minute, what? And then someone said, yeah, he actually served in the British Special Forces. He was actually like the MI6 before it was MI6. And Peter was like, so what would they do? He goes, let me show you. And if you watch, he just has a bit of a gasp because he goes, and he literally said later when he was telling the story, Christopher Lee said, men aren't expecting to be stabbed. They don't know to scream. Mm-hmm. But at that point, they can't.
They're just surprised.
It's just, and then their lungs no longer work.
See, that just makes him cooler.
Doesn't it?
Oh, and by the way, great Christopher Lee movie, Wicker Man.
Wicker Man.
The original, and it's awesome.
You don't like the remake?
Not the bees! Not the bees!
Okay, very quickly, some other birthdays we'll get in before we wrap up out of time. We've got Louis Gossett Jr., Todd Bridges, and Joseph Fiennes. So, Joseph Fiennes, as well as Paul Bettany, English actor, played Jarvis in Iron Man, as well as Vision.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Jarvis, a virtual artificial intelligence, and I'm here to assist you with a variety of tasks as best I can. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Importing all preferences from home interface. Systems are now fully operational.
And now these messages.
Secret Agent Sugar Bear, beware! The wheat drink is after our Super Sugar Crisp.
Roger, kids. He wants my wheat cereal. It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
Super Sugar Crisp!
Going somewhere, wheat-free?
Yeah, Sugar Bear. Gonna scoop up your Super Sugar Crisp in my rocket scooper.
Springtime. Looks like I've got my Super Sugar Crisp, and you're all washed up.
It's Big Track, the computer-activated tracker and the automatic transporter. Your child sends Big Track off on a mission by programming in up to 16 commands. Like fire 3 laser blasts. Big Track stores your child's commands. To get out of a tricky spot. To complete the mission, Big Track rolls in, drops the payload, then heads for home base in another assignment. Big Track for your child from NB Electronics. Transporter sold separately.
Welcome back, everyone. BK on the air. Alan Sanders, along with Mike Clark, filling in for the vacationing BK. I did tell you, and I haven't forgotten. I just knew whenever we come back, top of the hour, second hour, we do the On This Day. But I did want to circle back around to Tina Turner. And you and I were talking, Mike, about the impact, the effect, the memories we have whenever we discovered the queen of rock, Tina Turner.
Yep.
As a performer, as an artist, as technically a model. I mean, she did.
Yes.
She was the was it CoverGirl for a while? She was a CoverGirl spokesperson.
I think so.
Just amazing.
Actor.
Just an amazing actor. Yeah.
She did one thing.
Still was an actor.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't great as an actress, but you know what? It was Tina Turner.
It was, and she was cool in it. It was awesome.
For a singer, she was an okay actor.
Congratulations. You're the first to survive the audition.
She did a good job.
Well, and that Thunderdome is not the greatest Mad Max movie.
No, you know what, though? I have a little more appreciation, if only for one thing. And I was reading I guess it was behind the scenes of how they approached they didn't even start off to write a script for Mad Max 3.
Really?
Like, it literally wasn't supposed to be Mad Max 3. So, and why is the director's head out of my head right now? The director of Mad Max.
Oh, yeah.
Frank, long pause.
Yeah, exactly. Because we both have forgotten. He even directed Fury Road.
Right, of course.
Say it!
And BK's yelling at the radio again.
No, George Miller.
George Miller.
He said, because during that time, there was some things going on personally in his life, and he said, I was drawn to a retelling of Lord of the Flies. I just felt like I wanted to do my own version of Lord of the Flies.
Okay.
And he said, I couldn't figure out how to make it work, because everything had already kind of been done in other versions.
Right.
But he's like, how do I make... He literally said, it never even occurred to me to set it into the Mad Max world until his business partner, who was dying of cancer, I guess, at that time, suggested to him, why not set it in Mad Max? Children have to start over somewhere. What happens about the children in this post-apocalyptic world? So that's why he came up with it, and during the filming, his partner, I guess, died, and it seems like there was a little bit of disconnection with the filming and the movie and everything. But I mean, it's definitely the weakest of the Mad Max movies, but it's worth watching.
Well, it suffers from third movie syndrome. I mean, a lot of trilogies do that. Of course, now it's not a trilogy.
No,
because Fury Road, I can talk. If you haven't seen it, see it. It is a really, really good movie.
The year Fury, I try to figure out. You know, everybody's like, "What's the best movie that came out this year?" Well, of the movies I saw of that year, Fury Road was the best film to hit the theaters. Without a doubt, it was. Because it was more than an action movie. It was more than just spectacle. The underlying story, the message, the characters, the characterizations.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal. It's a phenomenal movie. And I said it to somebody. We were doing a podcast. I was in one of those movies by minutes. You're familiar with that format. Mm-hmm. And I said, do you realize that that Fury Road can be broken down into two parts? The first half of that movie is a chase.
Yes.
Right? You're being chased. You're trying to escape. The other half is a race. Who's going to get back first?
Mm-hmm. Yes. You're absolutely right.
And it's just,
and it works.
And you think, well, how can you tell a movie around that? The levels and layers about what is going on in this new world that had to be reborn from the ashes of whatever apocalypse.
Yep.
It's stunning. And Tom Hardy was fabulous as Max.
He was. I mean, he didn't say much, but he was really good. Well, Max shouldn't say much.
He had, 16 total lines?
I think something like that. And he was, captured most of the time. Yeah. And Charlize Theron's character, Furiosa?
Yeah, Furiosa.
Furiosa was awesome. And they talk about a solo movie with her. I'm like, please do.
They're doing according to George Miller now. Now he's older.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is.
They are going to do the Furiosa story, but they're going to start with her as young.
Okay.
And so we're going to get a young Furiosa, and I think Thor's playing in it. But it's not obviously Mad Max. It's somebody else.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you got to have a marquee name, right?
Well, yeah, you have to.
But I forgot. Is it Millie Bobby Brown that's playing the young someone? I forgot. Someone who's like really a hot young actress.
Well, if it's her, that's awesome because she's amazing.
She's awesome. Have you seen the two Sherlock Holmes that she did, or she plays? She doesn't play. Well, she's not Sherlock Holmes. She's the sister of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, I have not seen the series. I've seen some.
They're movies. So
well, okay, because there was a series too.
Maybe hold on. There's series. You're right. I've seen seasons 1 and 2. They're fantastic.
Okay. I mean, I've seen
awesome.
parts of season 1, and you're right. But she is awesome, and starting out so young, it's great. Of course, she's growing up and looking better and better.
Hey, stop it!
I'm sorry.
This is a family show. Stop it! Oh no, I got it wrong. It's Anya Taylor-Joy from The Queen's Gambit who's going to be playing young Furiosa.
Okay,
and she's awesome.
Yes,
too.
she was, and that was a great movie.
That series was fantastic. That limited series. That's what they call it now, right?
Yes.
We were starting off with Tina Turner. I didn't lose track, folks. This is just how our rabbit trail, squirrel-minded brains work. We talked about being an actress. We talked about the movies. If you had to pick, is there a song of all the songs that you like? When you think of Tina Turner, this is the first song that pops in your head?
I try, and I'm like, well, I love her rendition of Proud Mary. I love Private Dancer. I like What's Love Got to Do with It. It's very hard to pick a song. I think it is, though. It's Proud Mary. I really do. Mm-hmm. Though I know she had the comeback. Well, don't call it a comeback in the '80s, and had all those fantastic songs and was
Private
great.
Dancer was one of the greatest selling albums, and one of the it was amazing. It was a great album. I really did like "We Don't Need Another Hero," her song that she wrote for Mad Max 3.
Yeah, no, that was a good one too.
It's such a good song. Private Dancer, which we played earlier, is always just iconic Tina Turner to me. But I do think Private Dancer may be my favorite. I think because it's not super slow, but it also has a very melancholy, almost a sad story underneath.
Well, watch the video. It is sad.
Yeah. And you have to wonder how much of her earlier abuse and the kind of relationship she was dealing with, and the kinds of things she was witnessing in Hollywood and witnessing coming up in a poor town in Tennessee, and the things that she saw, how much of that just fuels that sort of underneath maelstrom that we heard that she has. So much of that tension, and you see the dark and the light at the same time.
Right. No, it's great.
Just a
very, very layered song.
But the fact that she could bring the kind of energy she brought to the stage to these kinds of songs, just phenomenal. And I will say, legs like you can't imagine.
Yes.
Just a brilliant singer, brilliant songwriter, performer, entertainer. And will be missed.
Will be missed.
In fact, I didn't play it yet. I've been wanting to just dig out. And now that I've got a smart speaker, it's amazing. I haven't bought an album, like tangible, hold in your hand, any form of music in probably 10 years.
Really?
Because everything I was either streaming through Spotify or through Pandora. Or now that we've got smart speakers, my wife and I just we just pay the extra $5 a month to have access to the entire Amazon catalog. There has been nothing yet that I can't say, Amazon or Alexa, play this or play that. I'll just sit there. I'll be at dinner like, Alexa, play the album, blah, 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 and they'll play the whole album.
Really?
Digital music library at my fingertips.
Now,
I feel like I'm on the Starship Enterprise computer.
Yes. I haven't bought. I still like physical media. I'm an old man. And I like libraries. I love seeing that stuff on the shelf. But anyway, I don't think I've bought a new album since, God, I don't remember. It probably was a soundtrack, but something like that. Actually, I think it was Rogue One's soundtrack.
Oh,
or it could have been Solo. But anyway, I pick them up at thrift stores.
Oh, okay.
I'll find, I'll be like, oh, I don't have this one. That's kind of cool.
The only thing that my wife and I still do tangibly, like in your hands, are books. We still like the feel, the touch, the take it with you. Now, my wife has a Kindle reader because when we go to the beach, it's nice to be able to have 500 books that you can pick any one to read at anyway. You don't want to carry those all with you.
Yeah, I understand that.
Our library continues to grow every year. We're members of the nonprofit Friends of the Library.
Okay.
We donate to them every year.
Nice.
That gets us, by that donation, an early invite to 4 times a year they have a book sale, and you'll pick up hardbacks for anywhere from $1 to $5.
Nice.
So when you get a hardback that normally is sold for $30 for $1,
I
find that a good day.
I think that's a good day. That's a good deal.
It's a good deal, and the library continues to build, and it's something that is a legacy that we can pass down. Our kids have grown up. And I think that's one of the best things we ever did as parents. A little side note from our BK talk. now that my kids are older, they're adults, and we can have adult conversations looking back, they love the fact that on the shelves, they saw books, they saw us read, and they have a passion for reading. And I think that's why they are able to be successful, because reading is such a skill you need for your entirety of your life.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
So we're very, very happy looking back. And when they say to us, like, we just love reading because we saw you reading, and we just didn't think there was an option not to read. We just thought that's what you do. I mean, because they're kids. What are they else?
Well, yeah,
they're looking
exactly.
at you for an example. You know, one of the things that I also mentioned, I was talking about this last night on a different show. My kids, when we come back and we have these like big gatherings, whether it's a dinner night or we're having a holiday, I never hear them talk about the expensive gift they got at one Christmas or the new jeans they wanted or that shirt or jacket. It's always about the memories. They always bring up the things we did.
Yeah, exactly.
So, folks, just take it for someone who's a little older. Making the memories are the things that are going to be more substantial when you get older. Not the things you bought or the things you thought you didn't buy. Don't worry about what people are showing on social media. Spend time with your kids.
Yes.
They will remember it, and you'll get those stories back later when they grow up.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to BK on the air.
Harumph, harumph, harumph. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Give the governor harumph.
Harumph?
We will return after these messages.
For old-fashioned candy store goodness, nothing else to do. Like old-fashioned candy store candy, the kind Brock's makes for you.
Brock's knows the secret of old-fashioned candy store candy. So Brock's uses fresh tasting ingredients and good flavors, like pure butter in Brock's butterscotch discs. What an old-fashioned treat.
Old-fashioned candy store candy, the kind Brock's makes for you.
Presenting the Clapper. Let your appliances turn on and off just by clapping.
Clap on, clap off, clap on, clap off.
The Clapper.
Nutty gritty, nutty gritty. It's a snack you can munch. Nutty gritty, a healthy snack you can crunch. You take a bunch of nuts, any kind will do. Throw in a bunch of raisins too. Then invite a bunch of nuts to share with you your nutty gritty, nutty gritty.
Do something good for your bod and brush your teeth after snacks. Join the Bod Squad. Join the Bod Squad.
We now return to our program.
When it comes to shows about movies and comic books, heroes and crazy news, I tune into BK on the air from 10 to noon Saturdays.
Yes, it's BK on the air. That's the name of the show. I am not BK. This is Alan Sanders, filling in for the aforementioned BK. Joining me is Mike Clark as we're having some fun with nostalgic geekiness.
Yep.
Always a lot of fun.
Perfect for radio.
Have you heard, I'm sure you have, are you a fan of the Harry Potter series? It's okay to say no. You can be wrong.
No.
You can be wrong. It's all right. We all have it, right?
It's one of those, I'm going to get hate mail now.
Harry Potter, maybe one of the other great iconic. Well, put it this way, I would hope you can understand and appreciate how hard it was, and that there are very few franchises that will ever be able to say the actors who started it lasted 8 films, save for one who died.
Right.
But they literally kept the entire cast, and while we watched the kids grow up in the book, we watched the exact same actors grow up on screen.
Oh, yes.
But think about that. A lot of times you can be a cute little kid and you can do your cute little kid lines really well. Doesn't mean you're going to be a good actor when you become older and you do heavier, darker things.
That's true.
And the fact that they all could, phenomenal. Of course, they were surrounded with some pretty good British actors.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That may have helped.
But did you see the Weird Al movie that he did?
I haven't yet, but the trailer looked incredible.
It is amazing. It is just great.
I think it came out, but I had to rent it or pay for it when it first dropped. So now I have this thing. This is that, talk about sometimes you have these like little weird peculiarities. My weird peculiarity is I'm already paying for a streaming service. I don't want to have to then rent a movie on top of that.
I agree with you. I wait till they're free.
Till it's free.
No problem. My mother wanted to see 80 for Brady, and when she first asked, it cost money. So I was like, just wait. It will be free. She got to watch it yesterday because it was free, and she loved it.
Well, if you know anything, have you seen the Harry Potter movies at least?
No.
You're aware of?
So
then how do you know you don't like them?
I tried to watch the first one. and didn't like it.
You do understand it's a kid's movie, right?
Well, I do.
Okay.
So and it's
put
fantasy.
Yourself in the mind of a kid.
I couldn't.
You like Willow, right?
Okay. Willow is funny. When I first saw Willow, I was in a bad mood, really bad mood. So I hated it.
Didn't like it.
No, and I was just like, well, it was another one of those. It's just a Star Wars remake. I mean, everything is the same characters as Star Wars.
Yeah.
Years later, I watched it again, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. I like this movie. Mm-hmm. I didn't like the show that they just tried to make based on it because it wasn't based on it. They changed so much. And, you said it earlier off air, I think. Warwick Davis was like the best actor in the thing.
This guy knows how to act.
Exactly.
Everyone else didn't.
No. And just some of the things they did.
And on top of that, okay, I get you're trying to be young and hip for a younger, hipper audience.
Right.
But if you're going to have a fantasy setting, you're not going to use things like, dude.
Exactly.
Stop putting modern vernacular in a fantasy setting. It doesn't work. Nothing worked in that. At most, the guy that they had along with him, the Middle Eastern accented guy that was the prisoner that was on. He was actually had a pretty good. He was funny. He had a pretty good delivery. I think he thought as an actor, I'm surrounded by a bunch of morons, but I'm getting paid. So let's just do this.
Let me do this. I'll slog through it.
It's terrible.
It was, and now they've pulled it off Disney Plus, or they're going to.
Oh, it's done. They already said there is no season 2.
It got canceled. But the fact that it's getting removed, a lot of shows are getting removed from Disney Plus, so they can save some money. People are very upset, and you know what kind of people.
It was bad, and they're thinking it got pulled for the wrong reason. Nothing to do with a female-female relationship.
Right. None.
Zero. It had everything to do with it was a terribly written, terribly executed, poorly handled show.
Yeah, that's why they're going to pull it.
Yeah, you can lead a horse to water. Can't make it drink. Let's get back to Harry Potter because I've got a story here that BK provided. In the story, you get your Hogwarts letter when you get to go to Hogwarts, right? It gets sent to you via now.
Yes, I know that.
You're aware of that at least. Okay.
I am. Well, it was everywhere when it was coming out, so I know a lot of the stuff that went on.
If you saw, depending how much you saw the first movie, you know that there was a scene where the Dursleys keep trying to tear up all of the letters, and eventually there is a scene where thousands and thousands and thousands of letters come flooding in because they wanted to get it to Harry Potter, and his uncle won't let him get the letter because his uncle doesn't believe in wizards and witches, and you're not going to go to some silly school.
Right.
Well, that scene, they had to print hundreds and hundreds or thousands of letters. According to a story here from Fox Business, Hogwarts acceptance letter from the first Harry Potter movie could be yours. And here's how.
Oh, really?
According to this, major Harry Potter fans have a chance to own a small but significant piece of the iconic book and film series. An acceptance letter to Hogwarts used in the first Harry Potter movie is going up for auction.
See, that's awesome.
The prop was one of the hundreds that flew down the chimney in the first movie, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, also referred to as Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in the UK. Mm-hmm. The scene from the movie focuses on Harry Potter's 11th birthday when letters arrive to his home inviting Potter to attend Hogwarts. One of the iconic letters is expected to be sold for at least $10,000 in a Chiswick auction.
Oh, it'll probably go for more than that.
Along with the letter, a real and unbroken wax Hogwarts seal on an unopened envelope will also be included from the set prop. Isn't that neat?
That is awesome. Owning props from a movie is great.
Yeah, this isn't like a reproduction. This was used on the set.
Screen used.
Chiswick auction specialist Valentina Borghi told SWNS, which I guess is the name of the news entity here, that these types of items do not come on the market often, and she noted that this is a unique find. Quote, as a general rule, the props used in the 8 films have tended to stay with the studios.
Oh.
The letter comes with an additional letter confirming the authenticity of the prop and a photocopy of the letter. The letter was donated by a producer and partner of 1492 Pictures, and the proceeds will be donated to charity.
Nice. That's great.
So I like it. So you'll get so you can keep it pristine. You'll get a copy so you can say, here's what it says inside, so you don't have to put your grubby hands on it.
Yep. Don't have to break that seal.
And you're going to get the envelope that has the wax seal that it would have come in. So that's kind of a neat little package put together.
Yeah, that is.
And so there you go. If you're a fan of Harry Potter, you could win maybe a little piece of that franchise.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It is something my wife and I will binge at least once a year. We will watch all of the Harry Potter films back to back to back. I love them. I've always been captivated ever since the first one, even knowing it was sort of a kid's movie. It's got that Christopher Columbus feel as the director behind it.
Yeah.
It's got the John Williams score, which is fabulous. All of the scores created by this guy that you know uniquely, the character that goes with the music when you hear it played.
Oh, yeah. Everybody has a theme, or at least most people have a theme when he composes.
It's amazing.
And it is.
If you haven't gotten the score to the third, I still think in terms of story, the third Harry Potter is probably my all-time favorite. It has the time turner or the dial of destiny. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. It has the time turner. And that's the last one that John Williams scored, and I think it's the best score for Harry Potter. It's of all of them. He built on. It's kind of like where I think Empire's the best score of the Star Wars movies. I don't think there's any arguing. It is the best score of all the Star Wars movies. I think Harry Potter 3, the Prisoner of Azkaban, is the best John Williams score of the Harry Potter films.
Okay.
If you haven't heard it, check it out.
I haven't, and so I'm going to be on the lookout for that.
The scene where Harry learns to fly the hippogriff is so John Williams. Like the emotion, the strings, the music, the connectivity of what the child is experiencing and you're hearing and feeling and watching.
Right.
It's like synergy. It's magic. It literally is magic.
Wow.
So check
you
that
definitely
out.
want to get that one.
It's fabulous. All right. Oh my gosh, we've only got one more segment to go. What do we talk about? What do we leave off the floor? What do we pick up off the floor? What are we going to do? I don't know. We're going to figure it out when we come back. We've got more BK on the air coming your way as we wind down this fourth Saturday of the month. BK is on vacation, enjoying a little time at the beach, which I'm sure we'll hear about that next week, as we will already be entering the month of June, folks.
Can you believe it?
Just around the corner. It's BK on the air.
He played the world's most famous masked man. Then the courts took his mask away. How did this resourceful hero of yesteryear hide his identity?
Sun sensor lenses that change. Indoors, they're light. Outdoors, they change the dark sunglasses.
Wow, silver dollar.
What were those sunglasses that stranger was wearing?
Those were no ordinary sunglasses, ma'am. Those had sun sensor lenses.
Sun sensor lenses that change.
Why buy just a video game from Atari or Intellivision? Invest in the wonder computer of the 1980s for under $300. The Commodore VIC-20. Unlike games, it has a real computer keyboard. With the Commodore VIC-20, the whole family can learn computing at home. Plays great games, too. Under $300, the wonder computer of the 1980s, the Commodore VIC-20.
Coming soon, Commodore brings you Gorf, the Wonder arcade game, and Omega Race in home versions. Commodore.
Welcome back, everybody. Waking up. No, not waking up.
Wrong, sir.
Well, hopefully you have woken up.
Well, yeah. But I was about to say, I got an autopilot mode. I was like, waking up with Alan. No, it's BK on the air with Alan Sanders instead. BK got word, I guess you saw the text message. They've landed safely. By landed, they've driven.
Yeah, exactly.
The car has pulled into the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
BK pulling into the Gulf shores, enjoying the Gulf of Mexico.
Yep.
And he foolishly left us in charge.
I know. He actually asked me to come in.
He's like, hey, my ratings need a little boost. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll work right on that for you. Let's see. What is... Oh, I know what this is. Never mind. This is not something I need to pull up. I am looking for something else to pull up. BK, some stuff for Saturday, which we've already talked about. Oh, here's the one. All right, here we go. This is a story I had no knowledge of, and we can thank MeTV for this. Do you ever follow MeTV? I'm sure you probably watch it, but do you ever go to the website?
Actually, the Roku doesn't have MeTV.
Really?
It doesn't, and I miss it a lot. And same with the Heroes and Icons channel. I love those. I know, but I do follow their.
But do you go to the website at all?
YouTube channel. I've been to the website too. Yeah,
because they got a lot of cool like trivia stuff and surveys, and they have tests you can take and quizzes you can take. This is a story I didn't know anything about it. Maybe BK knew, and he was just going to bring it to the audience. And you tell me if you knew, because you had mentioned off-air one of our breaks that the passing of Leonard Nimoy hit you.
Yes, very hard.
Did you know Spock once picked up JFK in his cab?
No. Did not.
Neither did I. So let's continue down this story provided to us from BK. So if it's wrong, we know who to blame.
Yes.
Before he navigated the stars, Leonard Nimoy navigated the streets of L.A. as a cab driver.
Wow.
Actors often struggle at the beginning of their careers. We all know that. You work for a restaurant or a diner or someplace where you get the ability to take time off and go to your audition.
Yes, exactly.
The jobs are few and far between when you're first starting out. The gigs you do land aren't exactly a money faucet either. Sometimes actors have to go after side hustles to stay financially afloat, especially if an actor is ineligible for equity wages. Supplementing that meager income is the only way to survive.
Yes.
That was the case for Leonard Nimoy before he boarded the USS Enterprise on Star Trek. Before that, before he donned those iconic pointy ears, Nimoy wore many hats, a veritable Vulcan jack of all trades. He was a salesman. He hawked vacuum cleaners. He hawked freezers. Nimoy worked at a pet store. He put smiles on faces scooping ice cream.
Wow.
He serviced vending machines and managed apartment buildings. At one point, before he was known to the entire galaxy, Leonard Nimoy even installed and did maintenance on fish tanks.
I did not know any of that.
It's crazy. It says, in a time before he navigated the stars, Leonard Nimoy navigated the streets of Los Angeles as a cab driver. He just left the military, which he served between 53 and 55. Nimoy served his country as a staff sergeant in the Army Special Services. Nimoy spent all day looking for acting work, and at night he'd pick up and drop off passengers throughout the city. According to this, quote, I got a call to go to the Bel Air Hotel to pick up a Mr. Kennedy, Nimoy told the Tampa Tribune. The year was 1956. It was a highly political time, right before the convention, and Stevenson and Kefner were running strong. Noticeably the same Stevenson Adlai that was the cousin of Mash McLean Stevenson, who was running the political hopeful campaign.
Okay.
When I got to the Bel Air, I asked the doorman if I was waiting for the senator from Massachusetts. He said he didn't know. When Kennedy came down, the doorman whispered to me, is this guy a senator? Two soon-to-be icons found themselves in the same car. Neither of them could have predicted how much their cultural cachet would grow through the 60s. So what would you have heard as a fly on the wall as that cab left the Bel Air Hotel?
Oh, yeah.
Well, as Kennedy got in the cab, I said, quote, how are things up in Massachusetts, Senator? He perked up. He said, are you from Massachusetts? He asked me. He asked me so many questions. He was so socially oriented. He asked me, why are you in California? Where are your folks came from? Why did they come to America? What do they thought of him being an actor?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Imagine JFK before the president asking you all these questions.
Well, this is how he got elected. He was very personable. People could relate to him.
Yeah, absolutely. He said, naturally, the conversation turned to politics.
Of course.
Quote, I asked him about Stevenson's chances, said Nimoy, and he said, you meet a lot of people. What do you think? He goes, it seems the then senator was already trained to tread carefully when discussing political opponents. I asked him what would happen if Stevenson won the nomination but lost the election. He said he'd be finished politically. That was one of the flat statements he made about politics.
Wow.
As all cab rides do, the fateful one eventually ended. When it did, it became immediately clear that JFK was not carrying any cash. After dropping Kennedy off at the Beverly Hilton, Leonard Nimoy had to follow the president-to-be to the hotel lobby to collect the $1.25 fare from someone JFK knew. Not only was Nimoy reimbursed, he got a $1.75 tip. He even remembered how much he got tipped.
Wow.
That is so cool.
That is very cool.
Did you see the documentary done by Spock's kid that came out on Netflix? I think it was called I Am Spock.
I think I heard of it. I don't think so.
It was really good.
I saw one of the ones done by Roddenberry's kid.
I think this was Spock.
There's
Nimoy's kid.
No, there's two. They're different.
I'm gonna have to look that up now. You got me going. But I think it was just called I Am Spock.
Because his books, the first one was I Am Not Spock. And then he came out with another book called I Am Spock.
For the Love of Spock.
Okay.
For the Love of Spock. That's what it is. For the Love of Spock. You got to check that one out. That was a very well done documentary. And you didn't realize I mean, Leonard Nimoy was a bit selfish. He put his family through a lot in pursuit of his career. And I think that's the problem with acting in general. You have to give everything you've got to it, which leaves little for the people who you think you are in love with or you want to create a family with or you want to raise children, but then you're gone.
Yeah.
But it was a pained relationship at one point in time, but it looked like by the end they had grown back together. And then this is kind of like the love letter from the son to his father.
Oh, see, that's nice. That's cool.
It was good. I'm sure they pulled a few punches, but I don't think many. So it does humanize Leonard Nimoy a little. Guess what? We all have flaws. Did you know that?
Exactly. We're not perfect.
We're not. And yet, somehow, if we just show the right scene taken out of context that someone shares online, you're the worst person in the world.
Exactly. Or you just read the headline of an article.
Oh, yeah. Why dive deeper than that? All right. So before we wrap up, we got to talk about this.
Okay.
Because it's something that I have just been dreading, and I know BK can't wait to go see. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I have to get Commander Clark's thoughts on that.
Having only seen the trailers and not read any reviews, but seen some of the commentary on it, I want to see it. I will. I think it's going to be awful. I don't know if anything can be awfuler than Crystal Skull, but this one does look awful. The reason I say that is it looks like Indy is a second character in his own movie. And Harrison Ford, I'm sorry, he's just too old. He is. So we'll see. Maybe I'll be surprised. I don't know.
One of the things that I think when I look at it, it's probably going to be very well directed. I think we're going to have some great action pieces.
Right.
I would argue if you look at Crystal Skull in tiny pieces, there's some great set pieces and some great action sequences.
Oh, yes, definitely.
That doesn't make for a good movie.
No, it does not.
Here's the irony. The guys that I'm friends with that do the Indiana Jones Minute, I remember that they were having some struggle in Temple of Doom.
Really?
Because they're like, this is a really fun movie when you watch it at full speed. When you slow it down and look 1 minute at a time, you're like, how is this a movie?
Really?
On the flip side, when they broke down and I was a guest on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, they're like, the direction, the lighting, the angles, the music, when you look at only a minute at a time, you're like, wow, this is really well done.
Right.
Then you play it at full speed and you go, what a pile of crap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like...
And it's kind of an interesting phenomenon that these guys were like, that somehow Temple of Doom didn't really hold up as well, scrutinizing it a minute at a time, but yet works great when you watch it full speed.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas you can only handle Crystal Skull in 1 minute at a time chunks.
Wow. And that's probably, yes, I would agree.
I got to tell you, that the whole motorcycle chase scene that happens early in the movie on the campus of the college that runs through is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's just stupid. And that's the problem with it.
Well, yeah.
And I don't blame the kid. I don't blame the actor because he had to do whatever his lines said to do. That wasn't his fault. I think he made the most of the lines he had.
Right. Exactly. It wasn't a very well-written movie, which, you know.
No. You would think that at some point, you would think guys, and I don't, maybe it's just something happened.
Shia
LaBeouf, yeah.
I had to stop thinking about it.
You would think somebody like a Spielberg, who's made such brilliant films, would be aware of where the pitfalls are at this point.
Yes.
And you just have to wonder, does everybody just get to the point where you just have lost your spark?
Maybe. Or it could be he just didn't really want to do it.
I did hear that, for whatever it's worth, I don't know if that's a good excuse to have put out a crappy product.
Well, yeah.
That he and Lucas had completely different ideas on which direction the fourth movie should go, and that's why it feels a little splintered, maybe.
Yeah, that could be it. But you're right, that is not a good excuse, because, like, Roy Scheider didn't want to do Jaws 2, but he does a great performance in it.
Jaws 2 may be the only sequel that you feel like, had that been released by itself, would have been a hit movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's only because Jaws 1 was a little bit better.
Oh, yeah. Well, exactly.
It was better.
It was better.
But
I do like Jaws 2.
Is well worth watching.
Oh, yes.
None
Very
of the
much
other
so.
ones are. Mike, great to have you here. Thanks for being in.
Thank you. Awesome.
And folks, thank you for putting up with me. BK, thank you. Till next week. Come back for more BK on the Air.
Don't ever tell a lie. Say your prayers at night before you go to bed. And so, as our friends south of the border could say, adios, amigos.
Wait! Where are you going?
I was going to make espresso.